Hey guys, this is Brad Allen, three-time world's duck calling champion. Welcome back to the Calling Council. And don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel because you can get the Calling Council here, plus you can get our podcast Outdoor Asylum. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right, guys, so what we're going to talk about today is cadences. We're going to start with basic cadences. Again, I'm using today, I'm going to use the Murder again. This is the Murder 2.0. This is the single reed call. We talked about the quack last week, and we went into all the different types of quacks, different words that you say or that you think about when you're presenting your air. And just like I told you, we're going to use that basic quack. That's the building block of a cadence, okay? So we're going to start with just some basic cadences now, and in the future we'll get into some more advanced stuff with cadences. But just to get you started, we're going to keep it pretty simple today. Now, what you want to do is we're going to start with that quack. And remember, gave you 3 sounds last time: hut, gwick, and gwack. So all we're going to do is we're going to take these quacks and we're going to put them together in a series. Now, with these cadences, this is how ducks communicate. This is how they're calling to each other. We call it duck calling because this is what they're doing. They are calling to each other. Ducks love to congregate together. They're trying to get together in numbers. So we've got our decoys down here. We're like little human ventriloquists. We're trying to bring them to life, and the cadence is the way to do it, or one of the ways to do it. So we're going to start with that basic quack, and we're going to start with 3 notes. Now, one way this is often simplified, and I think it's a great way to teach it, is to think about the old nursery rhyme, 3 blind mice. And, I always say that nursery rhyme is kind of a thing of the past. I'm kind of dating myself by even knowing what a nursery rhyme is, but you know that. So 3 blind mice. So it starts up higher and it descends just like 3 steps. So 3 blind mice. That's what we're going to do with the quacks. The first one, we're going to get a little bit higher. We're going to put a little bit more air pressure on that first note, and then we're just going to back off and come down a little. Each note will back off just slightly as we stair step down. So one good way to practice it when you're watching this video is, I'll blow the cadence and then you blow it right after me. So let's do just a couple of those real quick. So if you got a call with you, grab it and mimic what I'm doing. We're just going to go through a few steps here. So all right, so that's 3 notes. Once you get that down, let's extend it a little bit further. Let's go to 5 notes. All right, so we're going from 3 to 5. Now, what happens most time in duck calling, sometimes we overcomplicate things. We blow the call a little bit too much. Most of the time, you're going to hear ducks do 5 to 7 notes on a cadence, and that's usually all they're going to do. You will hear some that will blow longer cadences, or sometimes they'll kind of bounce on that last note a little bit, so it'll drag out. But for the most part, 5 to 7 notes. All right, so if we want to bump that up from 5 to 7. All right, so once you get that down, just keep working on it. Start with a 3, go to 5, and then move to 7. And don't rush through this. This is building the basics, so make sure that you get this down. So now, once you have, say, the 5 to 7 note down, we're going to work on doing a fast cadence versus a slow cadence. It's just like with the quack. We talked about how a sharper quack was a little bit more of an excited sound versus the lazy slow quack. Same thing with a cadence. If we're making a more demanding sound, a little bit more of an excited sound, we're going to use the faster one. So let's stick with the 5 note, but let's blow it a little bit sharper, a little bit faster. Let's go to 7. Most times 7 notes is about where I'm going to stay, especially with that sharper one because it is fast. And we'll get into, when we're actually calling ducks, when it's better to hit them with a faster, sharper sound, a more excited sound versus a longer one. So, but that has more of a, we're trying to get a reaction out of these ducks. So we're going to blow it faster and sharper. Now, if we want to blow it a little bit more relaxed, a little lazy, the ducks are just kind of loafing around, you're going to hear a little bit more sounds like this. And all you're doing is just blowing the notes a little bit longer. So that first note, I'm going to drag it out a little bit and then stair step my way down to the 7 notes. But we're going to extend that first note, even the second one a little bit long, but the longest note's going to be the first. All right, so that has more of a lazy sound. Ducks loafing, you're going to hear a little bit more of that type of sound. And it also can have a little bit of a begging sound to it too, that's good to use in there. So sometimes you can put that begging note on there. Just kind of gives it a little bit of a cadence. I don't know if the ducks are actually begging. Sometimes I think we put a little bit of personification. We could put a little bit more of a human characteristic into them, where if it sounds like we're begging, like they're begging, we assume they are, because that's what it sounds like to us. But anyway, when you hear that type of thing, to me, I've noticed that when ducks are, when they're at ease, they're loafing, they're just feeding, they're hanging out, and they're not skittish at all. They're in a relaxed state. You hear a lot more of those slower quacks like that and not quite as excited. So that's a really good thing to be putting out when you're hunting, making them think that everything is okay down here. And then usually I use the faster stuff when I'm really trying to get a reaction out of them quickly. I want them to turn quick. I want them to set their wings. I want to try to turn them on a corner. Then we might use some of the faster cadences. And like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit later in this. So anyway, work on that. I know it's the basics. Start with that 3 note, go to 5, and then work your way into 7. And practice that over and over again. Blow them fast, blow them lazy. Don't forget about throwing the notes, especially on the fast one. But make sure that when you're throwing that you're not holding the note too long. You don't want to do this. You want to be just throw it, just catch the first of that note. So you're throwing quick, barely catching the note, and then opening your hand, okay? So anyway, practice that. This is really important that you nail this part before we move on. If you can really get this down, then the harder stuff that we're going to be moving on to, the more advanced things are going to come to you a lot quicker and a lot easier. So don't just breeze through it. Put the time in, okay? All right, we're going to see you next time. Thanks for joining us again. Like I said, leave us some comments. We love hearing from you guys. So give us some guidance on how we're doing, things you'd like to hear in the future, any questions that you might have. Share this with your hunting buddies. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel. Be looking for our podcast. Love to have you join us for that. Hit that notification bell.